Welcome to Your Money, Your Life, the Black Enterprise podcast focused on financial wellness and how you feel about your money and how it fits into your life. I'm your host, Alfred Edmond Jr., and today we're talking about a very important topic. A lot of financial conversation is around cutting costs, controlling spending, getting rid of debt, controlling debt, and those topics are very, very important for achieving financial wealth and financial wellness. However, there's another side of the equation, one that is critical for African Americans in general, African American women in particular, and that is the income equation side. The CEO of Black Enterprise, Earl Graves Jr., likes to tell us, senior managers around the table, that you can't cost cut your way to profitability. At some point, you got to make more money if you want to grow profitability. And the same thing applies to your personal finances. Your ability to generate income, more income, for the value you bring to the marketplace is critical to your ability to achieve financial wellness beyond just cutting costs and controlling expenses. So today's guest is a perfect person to have this conversation. We're with Ericka Spradley, the founder of Confident Career Woman. And she really is an expert on this whole idea of how do we gain more income for the value we bring to the marketplace. So we want to talk about income generation and how that ties to wealth creation, but also the feelings we have that may prevent us from getting everything that we might deserve in the marketplace. Welcome to the show, Ericka.
Thank you so much.
So why don't you start with telling our listeners, now I've heard your work, seen your work, a bit about what you do for your clients, whether they're individual clients. I know you coach and counsel individual executives and professionals, but also you've done workshops as you've done at the Black Enterprise Women of Power Summit. Talk about what you do and how you do it and why you do it.
Sure. So what it is I do is exactly what you said. I coach individuals one-on-one. I also partner with organizations, usually through their employee resource groups or their business resource groups, and I facilitate workshops that way as well. The reason I do what it is I do is because it's a part of the work that I believe I was created to do. So my personal story with money and with career is that I, like so many other people, I was told to work hard, go to school, get a job, save some money, and you'll be fine. Well, that blueprint worked for some, but it wasn't working for me. I looked at my bank account and thought, okay, well, I'm working hard, but what I'm seeing here doesn't add up.
Right?
Yeah, why isn't it growing? So I recognized that this was so much more than just working hard. For me, it was complacency. It was also lacking information. And at a pivotal point for me in my career, I started reading Black Enterprise many, many years ago. I purchased the book with Wendy Beach, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
For small business.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I still have that book.
Oh, great.
It's well over
great.
10 years old.
Wendy will appreciate that.
Yes.
She was our small business editor at the time at Black Enterprise.
Oh, it helped launch me into what it is I'm doing today, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened for me, again, it was the environment that I was in. Relocation was key for me in terms of making more money, because now I'm in an environment where professionals can thrive.
Where did you move from?
I moved from Hampton, Virginia, which is where I'm from,
right.
to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Larger market, more opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So now I have the opportunity to earn more money, which wasn't an opportunity for me in Hampton, Virginia. I couldn't afford to buy a home in Hampton, Virginia, even though I'd worked there for many years, paid taxes.
And just to stick a little pin into it, just the whole idea of relocating for more opportunities is often a huge cultural barrier for you talk about going from Hampton, Virginia to Charlotte.
Yes.
And you hear at Women of Power Summit and other places, executives being offered overseas assignments and turning them down and not recognizing what that could mean for their value and the long-term earning power in the marketplace.
Oh my gosh, yes. Being able to work and study abroad, being able to relocate, expanding your skill set, all of those things can increase your income potential. The environment thing for me was so huge. And even when we talk about community and culture, so many people told me, you're not going to leave your family. Because I'm so close to my family, and that's like, they make cars, planes.
Exactly. Physical proximity is not really what it's about anymore, if it ever was.
Right. I can come back home.
Right.
And so we need to truly understand and recognize that while, yes, employment is a way for us to generate revenue, especially for women, we're grateful for the opportunity to do that, but we do need to be our own advocate, which is what I talked about yesterday in the session. We have to make sure that we are not just doing the work, we are documenting the work. When it's time to have those performance evaluation conversations, you never go to them empty-handed. There's no way your boss can know everything it is that
you
you're
do,
doing,
right.
especially if you're an expert in that space.
Right, because your boss is likely not an expert in that space. So it's up to
Yes.
you to communicate, again, the value you're bringing to the marketplace.
Absolutely.
But let me break it down just, even more basically. We don't ask for what we want and what we deserve and what, we're working hard, we're doing extra work.
Yes.
We're leveraging expertise, coming up with ideas, and either leaving those ideas on the table in the dark when we leave the office at the end of the day, or worse, we're leaving it on the table and someone else gets the credit for the results that are delivered as a result of your contribution. Talk about this whole issue of asking for the raise, asking for the promotion, asking for the feedback, asking for what you really expect, so I don't spend the whole year thinking I'm going in this one direction that's going to get me what I want, and then you tell me at the end of the year, well, that's nice, but this is what I really wanted.
Yes. So a big part of it, we talked about the ask, but we need to take the time to unlearn certain things
Okay.
and certain behaviors. So if we're just accustomed to being grateful for having the opportunity to work, that's exactly how we're going to show up. I had a conversation with one of my clients who was so frustrated. She said, I'm doing the work of 3 or 4 people. And I said, well, how many paychecks are you getting?
Yeah, there's a good question.
And then I wanted to further understand, how did you get to this place? At what point did you say, yes, I'll definitely take the stretch assignment and continue to do more without advocating for yourself and without saying, okay, who can I partner with? Who can I collaborate with to still get mutual wins? Can I delegate any of this work? Can I have the conversation? And yes, I should have the conversation with my leader that says, well, in looking at my performance evaluation, it says this, and I recognize that in these areas I'm exceeding. I also understand that these are your expectations of me. And from what I understand in the feedback that you've given me, I've exceeded. But these are all of the things that I'm doing in conjunction with this. So now I'd like to talk about compensation. When would be a good time for you?
So many people have a hard time, even when they intellectually can understand, yes, I deserve this, I see what I've laid out.
Yes.
Then it's getting over the hump of actually going in and asking for it. I want to hit on just something you said earlier about our cultural conditioning. I come from that background as someone who you were just grateful to have. I came from a
Yes.
difficult background. At least economically, family was fine, but it was an economically difficult background, and it was all about gratitude and
Yes.
just being grateful for whatever's there. And if you got asked to do something more, you should just do it because you need to be grateful.
Yes.
And that probably was appropriate in that environment.
Yes.
But often, if we don't, as you say, unlearn, we still practice those feelings and those cultural norms,
Yes.
even though we're in a new environment where that is not going to be rewarded or even recognized.
Not even recognized. But a part of it for me was saying, okay, this is what my finances look like. What is it that I want? And money isn't a bad thing. It's not everything, but it definitely helps. When we look at some of the change that's happening globally, it takes money to make those changes. When I look at the fact that my mother has had multiple sclerosis since I was 6 years old, what's the difference between the health care that she gets and the health care that
Yes.
Oprah gets? And if it's
Yes.
money, then I will be the one to raise my hand and say, I need to be compensated equitably. I will be the one who advocates for myself.
That's such an important context because too often we know we need the money.
Yes.
But what's conflicting, depending on, again, the cultural impacts that are driving our thinking, our decisions, is that we feel like it's kind of wrong to even admit you want more, much less ask for it. So I'm going to stick a pin in that.
Sure.
We're going to take a quick break. You've been listening to Your Money, Your Life, the financial wellness podcast of Black Enterprise.
There's nobody like you and like us collectively.
Brown person on your team in a space.
Be sure to hashtag BE.
Welcome back to Your Money, Your Life. I'm your host, Alfred Edmond Jr. We're talking financial wellness, as we always do on this podcast. But in this particular case, we're talking about what you need to do to maximize your value in the marketplace, to make sure you get credit for your work, and most importantly, for your financial wellness maximum possible compensation for your work. And too often we don't get it because we don't ask for it. And that's where we kind of wrapped up before the break. Talk some more about what you do with your clients. And I know you have this shine system that I kind of want you to walk our audience through around being strategic about getting more visibility,
Yes.
and then working through the process of gaining the confidence. I mean, that's what the brand Confident Career Woman is all about. To be able to say, I don't have to go into this conversation with trepidation when I want, promotion or raise or assignment to a special project or just mentorship or sponsorship. I can confidently go in because I'm prepared to go in.
Yes. So we know that we create what it is we believe. And we talked a little bit earlier about unlearning. We talked a little bit about my environment specifically. So when it comes to people having confidence, it's a choice. Nobody can make you any more confident than what you believe about yourself.
You know, my wife always says, you don't get confident to do things. You do things, and doing it gives you the confidence.
It gives you the confidence.
Yes.
That's right. But you have to start.
Right.
And you have to be okay with saying, you know what, even if I make a mistake, I don't have to count it as a loss. I may not lose, I may learn.
Right.
I may learn in the process. So with my clients, most of the clients that come to me are pretty much confident. They may have questions around, I want to increase my visibility, or I want to expand my career options. I may want to raise. How do I navigate this interview process? How do I make sure when I show up at that interview conversation that I'm saying the right things, that I'm speaking to my results, and that I get the offer? What is it that I need to do as a part of the negotiation process to make sure that I can increase my earning potential? But when we talk about visibility, a lot of us do the work with our head down.
Yes.
Because again, we're grateful to be there, or we raise our hand for so much stuff and carry so much weight, as well as the expectations that we place on ourselves. We end up having low visibility. We end up being very busy. We end up being passed over for promotion. So with that self-advocacy piece, and I talked about this yesterday, stop sitting on your ask,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Make sure that you ask for what it is you
On
want.
your ask.
With the
Stop
K.
sitting on your ask with a K.
With
Just
the
to
K.
keep the censors off of us.
Thank you so much. Yes. So you want to make sure that you are asking for what it is you want, what it is you need in terms of resources. Another thing that's very common that will diminish your shine, that will halt your career advancement, that will stop you from having promotions is a lack of clarity.
Yes.
When you get buried in the work or just life, you are not clear in terms of what you want. For me, clarity came from knowing what I didn't want. I knew that I no longer wanted to be a retail store manager because I wanted to go to church on Sundays and could not do that in retail store management. And eventually I gave my employer a 6-week notice, pulled all the money out of my 401k, which I know is not popular and not recommended. But I put my resume on then monster.com and went on vacation. A recruiter from Wachovia Bank called me at that time and said, we'd like to talk to you about 2 roles I never even applied for, didn't think I was qualified for. I went into the financial services industry with no degree, having never worked in the industry as a branch manager.
Wow. See, yeah, and this is why the whole theme of Your Money, Your Life and financial wellness, if you just break things down to just the rules of finances, and one of the rules is you don't dip into your 401k until retirement. And I totally get that as a financial journalist, who's covered this for 30 years. But there's this other thing about what do you want out of your life, and how do you take the value and the assets that you have to parlay that into the value and the assets that you want. And there's always going to be some risk involved.
Yes.
You didn't know what was going to happen. I teach a class in a monthly class in Newark, New Jersey called Destination Success. And one of the things I tell them is that you borrow money to make money. That's the only reason you do it.
Yes.
So it's not like you said, I'm going to pull out my 401k, take a vacation, and I'm going to pull this out because I'm going to leverage this into something else. I don't know what that is.
Yes.
But it's going to make more money for me because it's about getting more value in the marketplace.
Absolutely. And so my mother thought I was crazy. She said, you don't
gotta
leave a
get used
job.
to people thinking you're crazy, by the way, to change your thinking, your mindset.
Oh, absolutely. But from her perspective, what she's seen with her parents and for herself personally, you don't leave a job without another job to
Because
go to.
it's about security.
Right. And I told my mom, I said, I have to take this leap of faith. I have to try this just once. And it's not that I don't want to work. It's not that I won't go back to retail, but I don't feel like I'm asking for much if I want to be able to work and go to church on Sundays.
Not too much at all.
Not too much at all. And so that leap of faith changed everything for me because, again, at that time, I was reading Black Enterprise magazine and I'm questioning if I'm running somebody else's business as a retail store manager, why am I not running my own?
Especially if you're not happy doing it.
Yes.
I mean, if you're happy doing it
Yes.
and you're getting what you want, that's great. But if you're not, and I came to this realization later in life, and I tell younger people, you don't have to wait to really be clear about what you want and go after it. You don't have to do years of penance before you can say, now let me get what I want.
That's right.
Even though many times culturally, and women in particular, are often told, get everything else to everybody else, and then get what you wanted.
Oh, my goodness.
So in the time we have remaining,
Yes.
For people who really need to know what to think about in terms of really making sure they're getting their proper compensation, the income they may want to need to finance their dreams, but more importantly, the life that they want. So,
Yes.
because it's a combination of the right amount of money for what you do, but still the right kind of life you want to live as you navigate through your life. What is maybe 2 or 3 key tips you would give to our audience to get on that journey toward being a confident careerist, male or female?
Sure. I would say the first thing is to define what you want, meaning what does success mean to you personally and professionally? So we talked yesterday in my session about having a clear goal. I'm the planner who didn't have a plan, so I've seen what life looks like on both sides of the coin. Not planning and now planning and being strategic, and there's an enormous difference in my life. So your step one is to be really clear on what it is you want and define what that success looks like for you.
To you.
Yes.
Because you got to be honest. Sometimes what you
Yes.
want may not jive with what your parents wanted for you.
That's right.
What the people in your peers thought. What you really want.
Yes.
That takes most courage as far as I'm concerned.
It definitely takes courage because it's not the popular thing to do.
Right.
It's not the popular thing to do. I would also say, as it relates to your career, make sure, if at all possible, that when you say, this is the thing that I want to do, this is the path that I want to take, that you're real clear on how much money you're going to earn when you take that path, when you take that assignment. I also recommend that you know the value of your market seat. There are salary websites out there. There are
Yes.
salary calculators, Pay Scale, Glassdoor, salary.com. Know what it is you're worth and don't be afraid to ask for it. And if you're in an environment where they don't celebrate your results and your accomplishments and are willing to pay you, why are you still there?
Because you have options.
You have options.
Yep. You always have options.
You always have options. We wake up every day to options and opportunity.
Listen, I got to have you back on the show.
Well, thank
we
you.
could do this a couple more episodes. But listen, thank you for coming on. Listen, if our audience wants to follow up with you, learn more about your services, follow you on social, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Sure. The best way to get in contact with me via social media, I am on Twitter at Ericka_Spradley, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram at Confident Career Woman. My website is www.erickaspradley.com, and I have an online course platform. That's confidentcareerwoman.com.
Excellent. That'll be really, really great.
Thank you.
Listen, thank you for being on the show. I really, really appreciate what you've shared. I've been to your workshops, so I just thought it was amazing.
Thank you so much.
And so you've been listening to Your Money, Your Life, the financial wellness podcast of Black Enterprise. I'm your host, Alfred Edmond Jr. Thanks for listening.